All right, so I got something exciting today. What's inside of this box? I almost bought one of these through Harbor Freight. So I have been watching the sales with Harbor Freight and almost bought one. But this company decided that they were going to reach out and give me the opportunity to try one of theirs. They asked which size I needed. And so I picked the biggest one they have to offer, because when you're doing automotive stuff like we are, often you're going to need the biggest size. Now, everything you're going to need to know is going to be in the description below. So let's dive right into this, open this box up. I've cut the top, but I have not unpacked it. Let's get this thing out of the box. Okay, so it looks like everything is going to be inside this thing. This is honestly exciting. This is going to be very helpful when we get into the engine building side of things and the transmissions and all that kind of stuff. So it looks like inside the basket, wow, this thing looks really like easy. Looks like there's not a lot to it, which is always nice. Okay, so company is going to be Anbull, Ultrasonic Cleaner. We got a lot to learn. All right, so this thing looks like it's going to be pretty straightforward. On this side, which we'll call this the back, right down here in the corner of your screen, there's going to be a on and off switch. I haven't even read the instructions, but this company has made it that easy. All right, so we're going to plug that in. This is nice. So I have not read the instructions yet, like I said, but I'm assuming, check this out, that this little thing, all right, this little ball thing, cage thing, is going to be for small parts. That's actually really cool and smart. I would have never thought of that. So it looks like we'll be able to put like small nuts and bolts inside something like this, and then just take the lasp, close it, and then it's got a little hook on this end, which we can take the plastic cover off. We'll just slide it down for right now. And then you'll be able to hook that, just like you do when you're decorating a Christmas tree, onto the edge, and then you'll be able to fish it back out. That's very nice, because I know like with carburetors and different things like that, sometimes there's some very small pieces that you don't want to lose. So right out the gate, that's pretty nice. All right, so we've got our plug plugged in. Common sense tells you that this is going to be our drain hose. So we will put this on right here. It's pretty clear of what that little cage thing is for. It sits down in there. I'll show you all that here in a minute. Your cover is going to have this protective blue coating on it. So you are going to peel that off. So I highly recommend you to go ahead and take this stuff off. I know some people are tempted to leave it on so that their stuff doesn't get damaged or scratched to help protect it. But I promise you from experience with other items that when you leave on clear protective plastic, long term it starts to get brittle really fast, dry rot, especially in a situation like this with chemical and heat, and it's going to be way harder, if not impossible, to get off later. So that goes with anything in life. Pretty much take your freaking protective cover off. So I just mentioned that we should put a clamp around that, and our friends over here at Anbull, they provided us with a clamp. So a little clamp, let's get, it looks like a flathead screwdriver. We're just going to slip it on our hose. This is going to be for draining whenever you go to drain it later on. And we're just going to tighten that down. Now we have also a little filter screen thing. Let me show you that. It's going to come in there. Don't lose it. It's going to be in the bag when you get it. All right, you see that? It's just this little thing. It looks like this is going to go down inside the piece. All right, right here on the drain, yes, there is little prongs for it to go in. All right, so you're gonna stick that down inside the drain plug. So that's that. This top does not come off or anything. And then your basket is just a basket with little rubber feet on the bottom of it. It's gonna sit down inside there like that. And I've got my ball thing hooked onto the side over here. This is going to be our control panel for reference. I'm going to put you back on the stand, but we're going to have a temperature positive, a temperature negative, on off, time plus, time negative, on off. So it looks like it's going to be as simple as setting the temp that we want and setting the time that we want, and then rocking and rolling. I did reach out to them and ask them what kind of chemicals that us guys should use in the automotive industry. There was a couple of options, and I will put them across the screen right now or over here, type them out. But one that I chose that we use at my shop regularly is going to be Purple Power. So I had my employee, our good friend Eddie, if you watch the videos, throw me a little bit leftover Purple Power, about a gallon, he said, in the bed of my truck this past week so we could bring it home. Now, another thing on the list was Simple Green. I looked up how much a gallon of these two items cost from my local Lowe's supplier, and Purple Power come in cheaper than Simple Green. So we're gonna dilute it, I know. Let's see here. First we need to get us a greasy part to try this out. And then we need to find out all of our settings. Okay, so there's not a lot in the instruction manual on the actual how-to usage of cleaning your parts. So I think this is gonna result in you coming to videos like this or doing a little bit of Googling to find out what other people have used for your application that is gonna work best. So it's gonna be pretty wide because you could be doing greasy parts, heavy machinery, you could be doing jewelry, you could be doing all kinds of stuff with these things. The basic principle of ultrasonic cleaning. So the cleaner uses ultrasonic energy, 40 kHz, in form of sound waves to create millions of tiny microscopic bubbles in the solution that even works its way into holes and hidden cavities. It loosens up dirt on all surfaces that the solution touches. This action, called cavitation, occurs thousands of times per second to gently yet thoroughly scrub contamination off the article being cleaned. When you lift the item out of the cleaner, it is microscopically clean. So that is the basics of how this machine works. Being this has heat and electricity, we don't want anything that's going to blow up. So no gasoline, probably no paint thinners, nothing like that. So you're going to want some kind of water-based cleaner that you can dilute or cut with water. Now on the degreaser of your choice, normally the degreaser itself tells you what they recommend diluting their product with. Now we use Purple Power full strength on everything on cars that we do at our business. For this guy, I am going to dilute it a little bit. Now the interesting piece is they do say on here that if you're going to be doing chrome, 15:1. So that is 15 parts water, 1 part Purple Power. So if you're going to be trying to clean chrome parts in here and you're going to try to use the Purple Power, 15 parts water, 1 part Purple Power. Engine parts going to be full strength. So I think we're just going to put all of this in there. And then being we need to give it a go, if we're a little shy, we're just going to top it off with water, being they recommend full strength anyway. Now this is going to work a little bit more aggressively than just Purple Power on its own. So if you soak the part in Purple Power, it's not getting that ultrasonic cleaning and it's not creating the bubbles and all that, meaning that this is going to be probably a little bit stronger of a cleaner by going inside here with it creating all the bubbles and everything. So operation steps, we want to add the cleaning liquid. All right, and then it says fill the tank with warm or tap water below the maximum line. Add the required quantity of cleaning solution when using flammable liquids such as alcohol, gasoline, and so on. Heating is strictly prohibited. Okay, so it looks like when using flammable stuff, they say the heating is prohibited. So I'm guessing you can use the flammable items that we just said don't use, but don't use the heating options. But to get us started, let's just go ahead and dump all of our Purple Power in here. Oh, got some dirt, which I guess it don't matter. And we're just gonna dump everything Eddie sent me home with, which I don't think is going to be a lot. Now this is the 30-liter unit. So to fill it up, I guess it's gonna be 30 liters. Yeah. That is like nothing. Okay, as you can see, that barely put it underneath the basket. So we do not have a lot in there right now at all as far as for strength. Let's grab the water hose and we'll go ahead and top this thing off with water. The maximum line, I'm guessing, see here, it does not say it on here. The tank, the lid, I'm guessing the maximum line is going to be to the top of the basket. That's going to make sense to me because you got to be able to get your hands on the little pieces to pull the basket up. So obviously you don't want the handles under the chemical or water. Okay, and I don't want to put too much in this water because it just dilutes it down, being I don't have technically enough cleaner. But I'm very curious if even with this thing diluted, of what it's going to do. Okay, let's see what we're going to try. I think to start out, we'll definitely try this bracket. I'm not 100% sure if I need this thing or not. I think I do. But you can see the absolute grease level buildup on this. And I'm not joking when I say that this thing is disgusting. So let's put it in there carefully, not to splash it everywhere. And I'm thinking about seeing if this guy will fit in there, which is just absolutely disgusting also. But I'm not sure if we have the room for both. Let's take our little parts ball out for right now. We do, okay. And if you're wearing or if you're using a very harsh cleaner, you want to wear gloves. Okay, so our parts are in there. They're not completely submerged because again, I'm low on cleaner. Lid on. We're gonna come to the back and we're gonna flip the power switch on. Okay, now one thing I do notice is that this is in Celsius. So you're going to have to convert that over to Fahrenheit if you're like us. Use Fahrenheit. Minutes, let's see here. So the highest it goes is 30 minutes. Okay, so that's interesting. Let's go max on this. So 30 minutes. And then let's go max on the heat on this also because this part is pretty nasty and it's diluted. So let's see how hot this bad boy goes. And I'll put on the screen what the conversion is. Okay, so 80 degrees Celsius. Let's turn the heat on. All right, so the noise of this machine just absolutely ruined the audio, but basically I'm showing the bubbles of, you can see this basically cavitating and it doing its thing and it's actually working. It's pretty interesting to see in person because you can literally just see it all coming off. So I ended up running this part actually 2 cycles. So we did a 30-minute cycle and then we did another 30-minute cycle. It never got up to full requested temperature on, I think, the first cycle and possibly the second cycle. We'll see here in a second. Can't remember at the time of editing this video. But it worked good, and you're about to see that here in a second. Okay, so we are up to 50, and you can see that that pretty much took 30 minutes to do. So I'm going to back this down to 70, and I want to show y'all why. We're also going to go ahead and, let's see here, we'll go down with this timer, but we'll reset it to 30. So we're going to reset it over, even though we're only up to 50. So a quick search on ChatGPT. I asked, if we need to wait for the temp to get up. It says that you can start the timer anytime for these items. The heat just helps boost cleaning power. A lot of people run them both at the same time. You do need to watch for delicate parts. If the manufacturer says use cool solution only, then you don't want to use heat. A lot of people, for the fastest, most efficient way, they do let it preheat first, which usually gives the best results. It spits out some ranges for greasy automotive parts. You can let me know in the comment section if this seems right. But that's why I bumped it down, because it says 55 to 70 is great for dissolving grease, oil, and carbon without damaging most metals, which equals 130 Fahrenheit to 160 Fahrenheit. It says avoid going over the 77 unless you're certain that the part's material finish can handle it. Some aluminum and painted surfaces don't like the high heat. Let's see here. It's just some extra tips it's giving me. It took 30 minutes just to get it up to 50 degrees Celsius. So I'm guessing if you let this thing sit here, even without it running, that it would come up. It just probably takes a lot longer. Okay, so it just stopped making the noise. Not sure why. We're almost to an hour, so we're counting down. It doesn't want to show up, but it's 6 minutes, 10 seconds left before it's an hour. We're not quite there to the heat yet. It's at 68 Celsius versus the 70 we set it on. And again, I'm not 100% sure why it seemed to just cut off. Okay, so this machine actually has a built-in, basically, safety thing. So when the motor and the machine has ran for a certain period of time and everything's kind of getting a little bit warm, it actually cuts off to prevent itself. If you just leave it alone and let it cool down and do its own thing and you don't interfere with it, it will come right back on. It's not a problem with the machine. It's how it's designed and it's how it's built. I reached out to the company through email and they explained all this to me. So I want to make sure I pass on this to you so that you don't get yours and it cut off on you and you think there's a problem. Let's see if so the lid's not too hot. Let's open it away from us in case there's any steam. There is a little bit of steam. She's definitely cooking. Let's cover it back up. Okay, we can cut it off because it is extremely hard to film with that noise. Like, I'm gonna have to definitely cut a lot out. It's almost dinner time for me, but I want to check this real fast before I go get some food. I just kind of want to see where we're at, even though we're hot. Let me get something to get this stuff out with. All right, let's see here. How can we get these parts out without burning ourselves? Wow, holy crap. Holy crap. It literally like started removing the paint, which is awesome. Wow. There's a little bit left right on there, but I'm sure that'll come right off with a scrub brush. Holy crap. That was thick right there, son. That's where that oil leak was. You know, we don't even have it at full strength. Wow, and holy crap. Look at the hose. How clean that braided hose is versus where it was. This is where it was out of the water. This is where it was in the water. That thing is freaking clean, dude. Okay, so the basket handles, they're warm but not too hot. I want to flush off some of that junk that's sitting on the top. And it's not too hot. I'm sure that fluid is piping hot, but to touch the part, it's not too hot. Well, I'm honestly speechless. Holy crap. Like, we didn't even run that at full strength. Like, you've seen, I barely had any cleaner in there. And all it is hot water. And I mean, this thing is freaking... I mean, this thing is clean. Like, there's nothing on this part at all. And the little plastic connector, I left the plastic connector on there. The plastic connector looks freaking brand new. It doesn't feel brittle or hard. It's like soft, I'm sure because it's warm. But it's literally like brand new and clean. All of the nooks inside the bracket, or inside the little rubber, everything. This part is 100% freaking clean. Wow. This part. This thing is also clean besides where it was just majorly built up, but that's where you could definitely run it through there again. But all inside here, all of these little threads, everything, just absolutely freaking clean. This was a leak. All this is an oil leak, so it definitely needs more time in there. But also the hose, I mean, I'm blown away. I mean, even up here, it just wipes off because of the steam. I'm sure it was almost like a steam bath in there. Look at the hose. That is crazy, dude. Look inside there. That is ridiculous. A little bit more time and it would have got all of this. And probably a little stronger. That, you know how bad working on engines and stuff where the oil leak is, where you thread in, it's just so bad around the threads. And it got most of it, but we definitely need a little bit more. Now is probably perfect where you could take a little wire brush clean and just run over that lightly, put it back in there for another 30 minutes or so, and you would be absolutely solid. All right, so I want to try this one more time because that worked absolutely phenomenal. Like, that's ridiculous. Hopefully it's not too loud on the mic. I've just got it preheating. I don't have it on right now. Because this piece right here is actually off of our Hydro Boost system, and you can see all of the grease that's caked up in here. Now, I've already cleaned this with 2 cans of brake parts cleaner, 2 or 3 cans, okay? And if you add up the cost of brake parts cleaner, we all know how expensive that is. I wish that I would have had this unit whenever we brought the Hydro Boost in, because I literally could have cleaned it all up. But this is a part that we're actually using on this build behind us, so I figured we'd go ahead and run it through. How dirty that is on the inside. I don't know what this is going to clean up or how this is going to work, but this is a pretty nasty Hydro Boost brake part of the master cylinder off of a leaking 1994 Astro van. Also, don't know if this is going to be deep enough to get inside of there. Oh, the condensation. And that lid is still actually kind of warm from earlier. You can see the steam coming off of it. What temperature are we up to? It says 58. Okay. So let's go ahead and hang these 2 little parts in here. Then we're gonna lay this in there. See what happens. I don't quite have enough in there to submerge it. Should we add more water? Let's add more water to this real fast. This is just straight out the water hose. Again, the only bad thing about this is that the more I put in here, the more diluted the stuff is, so. This thing ain't cranking on much right now. Okay, so you can see our part is completely under the water. That's extremely, extremely diluted purple power. And the temperature dropped down from 58 to 51 just of it, the lid being off. So let's go ahead and turn this on. I think we're gonna do the same thing as maybe 30 minutes or an hour. All right, so it just cut off. That's only 30 minutes. Let's see what it's got. It got up to 67 on this run. We're shooting for 70 degrees Celsius. It got up to 67. All right, so remember the last one that we did, we ran 2 cycles. And even with 2 cycles, we didn't quite get up to the same temperature that we got up to with this one. Maybe that was just because it was the first time. Let's check our little nuts and bolts first. Okay, so our nuts and bolts are pretty much freaking clean. Now, if we had a tumbler to put these things in now, so all the threads, if you can see that, all the threads are clean. There's no grease on them. It's discolored, but like there's no grease that's like gonna get on my hands or anything. So they're clean, like they're clean. We could polish them up following them with a tumbler. So this thing might be a good setup to have with this and a tumbler right beside it. Take it from one to another. That would be amazing. I need more room. Okay, so we're definitely gonna need another go at it, but it's definitely getting it. Oh yeah, she looks good. And it's getting it all on the inside too. Okay, so let's keep getting it. Let's do another 30 minutes. Same exact thing. We flipped it. Put it back on. Shoot for 70, shoot for 30. Okay, so 12 minutes left. And it cut off. But it's not doing. So it just did the same exact thing again. It stopped again at 4 minutes, 14 seconds. Our actual temperature is 72, 67. It's maintained that. So the temp is higher than what it's set to, and it was running. It was doing the noise perfectly fine, even though the temp was higher. So this time I'm not going to touch anything. I'm going to let it play out. We got like 3 minutes or so, and I'm going to stand here and see if it automatically starts working. Maybe it's a little motor in there that it cycles to keep itself from overheating and burning up. I'm not really sure. All right. Okay, so as I showed you with that quick little clip, it did come back on its own at 2 minutes of me touching absolutely nothing. So I'm almost curious if it is some kind of cycle mechanism to keep the motor from overheating. It does do a very high powerful vibration, as from what research I can say is it's like a really powerful, doesn't move on the table, you don't feel it or nothing, but supposedly it's just like very powerful. So maybe that machine with the heat of the chemicals in the water also, maybe it literally just has to cycle on and off as a preventative feature. Not really sure. We'll see what the company emails us back. She's hot though, I can tell you that. She is hot. Now, we'll see what happens. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, not bad. There's still a little bit inside the groove, but you can't. No, actually, I mean, this thing is freaking clean, dude. There's like a little bit up in here, but it just comes right off. I bet we hit this with a water hose, and I bet it all just washes right off. Wow, this thing is crazy, dude. This is absolutely nuts. I'm gonna let it drain. This is crazy. Okay, so I'm honestly impressed. Look at that. Holy crap. I mean, this thing is freaking clean. Probably want to make sure there's no water that's gonna come out. Okay, so I mean, this is unreal, dude. Look at that. So the only place that it still has some is up inside there. See that? But I mean, this is where like one little shot of brake parts clean. And you'd probably be golden. Let's see if that rinsed out. And if we would have took it apart at the pins, I bet it would have been perfect. I mean, man, this is a lot of buildup, dude. I mean, if you're talking 1994 Astrovan, you're talking just years and years of grime. This is where a little detail brush would be perfect to just kind of flush out these last little pieces. And the crazy thing is that means it got all up inside of this thing too. All up inside, all that nasty gunk and stuff where the brake fluid's at. And see, that's what you can't do with one of them tumblers. So one of them things that you put the media in, okay, and it spins around and vibrates, or it's like in a big bowl and it vibrates. You want media all up inside of a brake system like this. You wouldn't want that. Now, again, if we would have pulled the pins out of this, it would have been fine, but getting the pins back in might not be the funnest. But you literally could go now and hit it with a couple squirts of brake parts clean and just be absolutely solid. I mean, I am sincerely, I'm impressed. I'm not faking it, but I have never used one of these either. So, I mean, these have been out for a while, but look at the inside of that. I mean, this part is just brand new looking, ready to be installed on our build. Man. All right, so first impressions, if you can't tell, I'm honestly, sincerely impressed by this one. This is a good one. Man, this is amazing. And it wasn't, I'm lost for words. It wasn't even that much purple power. Like, it was such a little amount of purple power. I bet if we would have had full strength purple power in that bad boy, it would have just been probably 20 minutes or 15 minutes and that thing would have been freaking done. So I'm definitely excited to add this to the collection. As of right now, closing out Saturday night, this review video, waiting for the email back so I can update y'all, and we will probably, let's see here, let's drain this fluid in the morning. Let's let this cool off overnight and drain it, and then we'll see. We're gonna let it settle overnight, and let's see what it looks like in the morning. All right, so to drain this, remove this to the edge. It's actually not that heavy, even with the fluid in it, so it's a good size. Make sure you see, we're just gonna put the hose in the bucket, and as simple as that. Just turn the knob. Dude, they can't make it no straightforward than that. Water levels dropping. Coming out a steady stream of all your dirty chemicals and water so you can dispose of it. So I would definitely highly encourage you to have a 5-gallon bucket. It's gonna make it super simple. And then all you'll want to do is flush this out with a little bit of clean water also into your bucket, and then you can properly dispose of all that.